40 miles along the Wasatch Mountain Range. That's all that separates BYU and Utah. And when their football teams hit the gridiron, they play with an unbelievable amount of passion and pride, especially when the Beehive Boot is on the line. And that vaunted trophy has gone the way of the Utah Utes for 4 years in a row now. Today on the mountain, they'll try and upset the 2006 Mountain West Conference champs, just like they did in last year's overtime thriller in Provo. Oh, what a glorious day in downtown Salt Lake City, Utah. Just right to play a little football and inside Rice-Eccles Stadium, things are about to heat up for the Holy War between BYU and Utah. Greetings, everyone. Along with Todd Christensen, I'm James Bates. So glad you're with us in Salt Lake City today as we bring you not only one of the best rivalries in all of college football, but a couple of the best college football players from this year. Todd, the consensus around the nation when you talk quarterbacks, you've got Brady Quinn of Notre Dame and Troy Smith of Ohio State. But the Mountain West Conference has a gunslinger of their own in John Beck that can put up numbers with any of those guys.
Well, John Beck's exemplary play has been largely unnoticed due to the Mountain West Conference a little bit off the beaten path. But take a look at these particular numbers. Notice that Beck leads in completion percentage, yards, and rating, as well as an astounding nearly 10 yards per attempt. And notice, too, at the top, he has only played in 10 games. John Beck has been outstanding for a variety of reasons. He can make all the throws, and they all seem to look the same because of his ability to just flick the ball from his ear, whether it's short, intermediate, or long. John Beck's decision-making has been flawless. He's been able to take a lot of blows. He hangs in there in the pocket, as you can see right there, delivering a strike to Johnny Harleen that turned out to be a 71-yard touchdown. John Beck has gone from all-conference to arguably all-American. He is truly one of the best quarterbacks in the nation.
Well, that senior quarterback will be facing a senior cornerback in Eric Weddle for the Utah Utes. A year ago against BYU, made his offensive debut, and since then, he's played quite a bit of offense and keeps on doing it on defense, too.
Sports Illustrated dubbed him the best cover corner in the nation. But on both sides of the ball, as you pointed out, is there another player in college football that leads his team in both interceptions and touchdowns scored? As you point out, Weddle has been a both-ways guy. He played free safety for them against Air Force, but ran the ball well for 73 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Air Force Academy. 91 plays last week. You might see him that many plays this time around. A throwback to Chuck Bednarik going both ways.
And down on the sidelines is a guy who knows a little something about this rivalry here at Rice-Eccles Stadium, former BYU quarterback Blaine Fowler.
Guys, both coaches talked this week about how important it would be to manage emotion early in this football game. Coach Bronco Mendenhall from BYU evaluated his team's performance from last season in the rivalry game in Provo and said, we were way too hyped up. The team didn't play well in the first half because of their emotion. They were not assignment sound. And he got a call from Lavelle Edwards on Monday. Lavelle Edwards said to him, Bronco, if you do anything different this week in terms of practice than you've done all year long, you're doing it wrong. So these coaches, no problem getting guys up for this game. It will be a matter of who can control the emotion and play assignment sound. Let's go back up to James and Todd now for the kickoff.
All right, thanks a lot, Blaine. Be careful down there. 44 degrees. Bright, sunshiny day for Curtis Brown, another senior for BYU. BYU's all-time leading rusher. He's deep to receive the kickoff of sophomore Ben Froman. And the Holy War is underway. Bringing it out of his end zone is Brown. Here he comes. Across the 15 to about the 17-yard line. And that's where John Beck and this Cougar offense, an offense that is #1 in the Mountain West Conference, #4 nationally in total O. And there are some numbers from last week that just added to some of those big stats.
Interesting that in watching the game, watching the replay of the game, I didn't think he was particularly sharp. He overthrew some wide open receivers, but he did get some big plays, hence the reason why the enormity of yards.
A couple overthrows and 2 interceptions. One of those returned for a touchdown. The Cougars plus 14 turnover margin. That's 3rd in the NCAA. Last year's Mountain West Conference champion TCU was plus 21. A little bit of a trend here on first down. Up in the air, puts it up there for his tight end. That's big Johnny Harleen. What a touch right off the bat, showing you the arm, and Harleen showing you his abilities. There is a flag on the play, however, a 24-yard gain if it stands.
That's going to be interference against Casey Evans. This is one of the things that BYU wants to do right away.
Number 31, defense, decline, first down.
They have man-for-man coverage with a safety on Harleen, and that's going to be a mismatch. Johnny Harleen to the left of your screen, number 13, has been averaging over 15 yards per catch. At 6'4", 240 pounds and 4.6 speed, he is a mismatch for either a linebacker or a safety. BYU takes advantage of it on the onset of this game.
Teams throughout this season have doubled up on Johnny Harleen, the tight end, but that's open guys up like Curtis Brown, who's in the backfield right now, along with Manasseh Tonga, the fullback, split backs next to Beck. First down. Give goes to Brown, and he's wrapped up before he can even turn it north and south. Steve Tate, the safety, bringing him down. Well, let's meet that offense of these BYU Cougars. There's Curtis Brown. 7 players have caught 20 or more passes for this team. Curtis Brown leads them all with 51. Up front, the offensive line, Jake Curessa, the big right tackle. The senior injured his groin against New Mexico last week. He is out there playing to start today, slowed up in practice. But he's been banged up all year long. Had the hurt knees, both knees, earlier this season. He's not going to miss this one. Look at big Travis Bright playing next to him, the right guard. So a second down now in 15 after the 5-yard loss to Brown. The Utes show blitz, and they're coming. Picked up by Tonga. Plenty of time for Beck, and finds Harleen. What an acrobatic catch. The former basketball player goes up top, pulls it down, close to that first down stick.
You mentioned that Manasseh Tonga was in the game. He does a tremendous job from the fullback spot, cutting across the front of Beck to pick up the blitzer. Watch Tonga, number 11. Right to the right of Beck. He's going to come across and pick up the blitzer, and that enables Beck to survey the field. He was going to throw short, but then he realized that he had some time to get the ball downfield to Harleen, converting on a 2nd and 15.
You mentioned last week he was up high on a few of his throws, that time thrown a little bit behind Johnny Harleen, the big 6'4", 238-pound senior, doing a great job of adjusting. First down and 10, and into Utah territory. Quick throw, gets his man, gets it out to McKay Jacobson, the true freshman. Another big pickup, and they're slicing and dicing right through this Utah defense. A 16-yard pickup. Here is that starting lineup for the guys in red today. Martell Burnett leads the Mountain West Conference with 5.5 sacks. Only starter up front, not a senior. Joe Giannoni's coming on strong. He missed a couple early, and Bryce McCain is that other corner. The sophomore out of Texas plays opposite of Weddle. He'll be busy today as well.
Already, James, 3 for 3 for 58 yards for John Beck.
Draw goes to Curtis Brown. Good job inside by that defensive line. Kelly Talavo, Paul Soliai, thing 1 and thing 2, just stuffing up the lanes. Nowhere to go for Brown for the second carry today.
Every coach we ever talked to says this: we want to start quickly. Well, BYU has certainly done that. To break that down for you, that 124-15, it essentially averages 21-3 in the first half. BYU gets off to a huge start, averaging nearly 2 touchdowns. This is where Utah has to be ready to play. They cannot afford the luxury of coming out and being cold.
It's a no-huddle, but not a hurry-up offense for BYU. Tonga, the fullback. Fui Vakapuna, the sophomore, in at tailback. Fake to Fui. Pressure on Beck. He's hit as he lets go of it. Incomplete pass. They brought the blitz, and they get to him this time. Paul Soli Lafiti knocked it down.
Gary Anderson, defensive coordinator, if this is any indication, early on has decided that, you know what, we've got to put pressure. We've got to come with 5 and 6 periodically and take our chances down the field with coverage in 1 free. This time they're able to get to him right in his face and force now a 3rd and long.
Great leaps by Lafiti, 6'4", and that brings up a 3rd down and 10. And 57%, if they can convert those kind of numbers today, it could be a long day for the hometown Utah Utes. Ball's on the 29-yard line. They bring 4. Curtis Brown out of the backfield, the leading receiver across the 20, across the 10. Forced out right inside the 5-yard line, finally by Casey Evans, a 24-yard pickup.
You pointed out the fact that he is the leading receiver for the Cougars with 51. Watch, he comes across and he just gets lost. Joe Giannoni stays where he is, and as he cuts across the field, no one goes with him. Once again, kudos to the offensive line for Brigham Young for giving Beck a good 4 to 5 seconds to survey the field and get the ball underneath.
There's Curtis Brown. We'll take it over to the sidelines. Fui Vakapuna has been great in relief for Brown. Joe Seminoff also in there, the power eye, next to Manasseh Tonga. Into the red zone, or the blue zone, as Beck and the Cougars like to call it. Here goes Fui, his first carry of the day. Not much there for him. A gain of a yard.
You and I discussed this throughout the season, and that is that when you jam people in, when you have all the people in the backfield, it makes it much easier for the people in the secondary coverage. They know that they're going to run the ball. First or second down, this would be wisdom for Brigham Young on this particular down to go with some sort of play action.
And defensively in the red zone for Utah, there's the 12 touchdowns. Beck in the offense trying to get it in there on 2nd and goal, still in power I formation. That's Seminoff in the offset. And one more time to Fui Vakapuna, powers his way near the goal line. They're giving it to him. Touchdown, BYU.
Fui Vakapuna is the one player on this BYU team that generates enthusiasm. And the reason why they didn't go with the play action fake is even if they weren't successful, they wanted to say early on to Utah, we are physical. Joe Giannone last week, 18 tackles against Air Force. Vakapuna lowers his shoulder. Watch and see if the ball crosses the plane. Giannone trying to hold him out, but Vakapuna right there. Boy, you could argue that he didn't get in.
A very unselfish squad, too. First one out there to greet him, Fui Vakapuna, a fellow sophomore. And it's Tom putting it through. Is McLaughlin making it 7-0. Good hold by Jason Beck, and Tonga and the Cougars have 7 against a defense that has only allowed 37 first quarter points all year. McLaughlin to kick. It's Bryce McCain and Eric Weddle deep. McCain into his end zone, and he'll bring it out. Fake the reverse to Weddle, and he's popped by his own guy at about the 12-yard line. Had a nice hold there, but then Greg Newman, the backup defensive end, runs right into him. So it'll be a long way to go to start for Brett Ratliff and company.
You're exactly right. The play was set up, and it appeared that there were no white shirts. There were no white shirts. Watch from the end zone. He's going to head upfield. The fake reverse. Now you see some white shirts start to peel off. He runs into his own man. That's unfortunate for Utah. Poor field position starting at the 14.
There's Ratliff, the senior quarterback, 6'4", 224. Good protection by his O-line up front as he rolls. And try to make something happen with his feet. The second leading rusher on this Utah team wearing that number 15 jersey. And let's look at his numbers, Todd.
Well, once again, early on in the season, he was really erratic. But over the last 4 games, he has been outstanding. Last week, as you see, against Air Force, but over the last 4 games, his percentage has been 65%. But most significant, at least from my vantage point over the last 4 games, 8 touchdowns and only 1 interception.
Here's the rest of his guys. Derek Richards, the leading receiver on this squad. And up front, Tavo Tupola in his 44th start. He's the only senior on that offensive line. Castile in motion. They'll run the option up top with him. Pitch goes to Brett Castile. Gets turned north and south, run out of bounds by Brian Keel. Brian Keel leading a very stingy defense, a defense that has switched from a 3-3-5 to a 3-4. And it's really worked for Bronco Mendenhall. The big play defense has been substituted for a bend but don't break, keep them in front of you. Jan Jorgensen at the defensive end was an all-state wrestler in high school. Cameron Jensen is the captain of this ship, and Justin Robinson has 2 picks this year, one of them returned for a touchdown. A 3rd down and 3 now.
Right tackle Jason Wood has been suspended for the last 2 games. He is back here for this big game.
3rd down and long now. Plenty of time for Ratliff. Throws into double coverage. Incomplete. Intended for the speedster Marquise Wilson, who had the concussion last week and missed most of the game. David Nixon, who's also been banged up on the coverage with Ben Criddle.
Well, this is the one thing that Utah cannot afford to do is get in 3rd and long situations. They're putting a lot of pressure now on their punter, Louis Sakota. 2nd in the nation is Utah in net punt. 43.5 yards per kick Sakota has. They're putting some pressure on him right now to give them some field position.
Sakota, who hit the game winner, 37-yarder against Air Force as time expired, will kick to McKay Jacobson, and he just gets this one off, and it's a beauty. Jacobson is lit up at his 20 just as he catches it. great coverage, and they continue with the great coverage. 49-yard net. So drive number 2 for John Beck, who on his first drive went 4 of 5, 83 yards to 3 different receivers. We told you earlier, 7 players have caught over 20 balls on this BYU squad. Can't find anybody, and he just pitches it out there, a la Bernie Kosar, to his receiver, Zach Colley. Just continues to make things happen. This senior quarterback, that a 21-yard gain. Wow.
This is street ball right here. He's going to survey. He's going to have 3 different reasons he's not going to have him. Now he sees in the distance Colley, and he's, you know what? He was able to do that because he's running with. His momentum is with the football. There's no way he could do this going in the other direction, but look at the body. He's got it going, kind of a push, kind of a two-handed set shot he gets downfield to Colley. Speaking of basketball, how's that for a segue?
Trent Playstead, he may be jealous of that shot. Curtis Brown again can't get outside. They've done a great job against the run. Hey, Blaine Fowler down on the sidelines. This BYU team not quite as amped up as they were last year, and that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, there was so much talk this week about last year's team and how they couldn't get their assignment straight in the first half of that football game because they were too hyped. So I made a trip over to the BYU sidelines, and very businesslike right now after that first touchdown. Not a lot of jumping around. Came over to coaches, sat down, talked assignments. A very different BYU football team in the first half of this game than last year down in Provo.
Thank you, Blaine. Second down and 12 after the 2-yard loss. Fake goes to Brown. And Beck, in the arms of a defender, gets it off to his senior Daniel Coates. Well into Utah territory, a first down and then some. J.J. Williams, the freshman on the coverage, 25-yard pickup.
Twice now tight ends have come up with significant plays, or rather 3 times. Beck, as you point out, cuts to the outside but knows where he needs to be on the field, and again, reveals his arm strength. J.J. Williams, man for man with Daniel Coates. That's an advantage for BYU, particularly with the skill tight ends that they have.
Alex Puccinelli came through untouched, had Beck in his grasp, but it's a first down and 10. Spreading this field wide, still in the game. Offset back is Curtis Brown. He'll go out in the route. Ball is up there for Harleen, runs under it, across the 10, dives forward, touchdown, Cougars! A 36-yard touchdown reception. That's 9 for the senior out of Orem, Utah.
The tight ends had to be an integral part of this game plan, James. Once again, it's an out-and-up move on the part of Harleen. Has a little bit of a fade route, and again has man-for-man coverage and shows his speed. Again, the difficulty when you have someone like this is he cuts to the outside. Now he looks back. The anticipation was that he was going to go with the out. Instead, he cuts upfield, and Beck puts the ball right on the money. The accuracy of number 12 is nonpareil.
Todd, Sean Harper injured a backup defensive back, and that was Sean Smith on the coverage, who's a wide receiver. On the 2 deep at the wide receiver as McLaughlin puts this one through, making it 14-0. Senior quarterback John Beck has never beaten Utah, but 7 for 8 today, 166 yards, 1 touchdown, and 5 completions over 20 yards. Okay, Todd, so you're Gary Anderson, defensive coordinator of Utah, and you've gone manned. You got to get out of it, or it's going to be a long day.
Especially when you have, as you just pointed out, a converted wide receiver man for man with arguably the best receiver.
McCain will take this one, and again runs into a red jersey and then a couple whites as he's dropped down in there on the tackle. Number 24, Nate Hutchison, the backup defensive back. Tonga Vailoa in motion. The quick pitch goes to Eric Weddle. First time we've seen him on offense. He's popped in the back as he picks up about 5 there. Aaron Wagner, the senior from Alberta, Canada, on the stop.
They took a play out of Air Force's playbook, that long pitch, something from the old single wing days where you're lateral at a good 5 yards to the side. Most of those numbers, remember, were last week against Air Force. 12 carries for 73 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Weddle will remain in the game. Ratliff is out of the game now. Weddle at the quarterback spot. 91 of 159 total plays last week against Air Force, and this time he just hands off. The draw goes to a hard-charging Daryl Poston and gets a couple.
Runs right into the arms of Judd Anderton. The running game for Utah has struggled this year, hence the reason why you see much of Weddle on offense. Runs right in, it's Tialavea who is the one that makes the play. Poston just a little over 500 yards rushing. And in the past couple of years, Utah has had outstanding tailbacks. That hasn't been the case this year. And so Kyle Whittingham and his staff have had to alter things offensively.
Ratliff back at quarterback in the gun. Poston next to him. 3rd and 3. They're 1 of 2 so far today. This one on the money to Freddie Brown. Freddie Brown tucks it away, gets across the 35-yard line. It is a first down. On the stop is Justin Robinson, number 15.
They desperately needed that play. They take advantage of the fact that Brown is considerably larger than Justin Robinson. Just kind of sets down in the field and lets Castile run everybody off. In fact, Robinson just barely getting the shoestring tackle. Otherwise, Brown would have had a few more yards. But Utah could not afford the luxury at this juncture, James, of going 3 and out.
The total offense for the Utes dominating there in the first quarter. Utah Ute cheerleaders looking for something to cheer about. Take a look at our first quarter stats. Brought to you by Dodge. There you see the first downs, 9 for the Y and only 2 for the U.
Well, the total yards tell the story. 6 times as many for BYU than for Utah.
So here goes Ratliff, dancing around, buying himself some time with those wheels. Has a guy way out there, tries to get it to Marquise Wilson. They'll talk it over. It looked like he might have been forced out of bounds. Does a good job of pulling the ball down and holding on to it. Keel and Justin Robinson on the coverage.
This is impressive for number 41, Brian Keel. Watch how much ground he covers from the line of scrimmage. This is an outside linebacker, folks. He's downfield on a corner route, makes the sprint, knocks Wilson out of bounds, and it is incomplete. Ratliff shows that he, too, has the ability to buy time with his feet. Rolling to his left, throws the ball on the run. Look at how far Keel goes back downfield. I tell you what, you point out the improvement for the defense directly proportionate to the play of Keel, Nixon, and Jensen.
Brian Keel, one of the best junior linebackers in the game this year. And keeping it going on the ground is Darrell Mack, the backup running back behind Poston. It was Mike Liddy. He's out with the knee injury, and now Darrell Mack in that backup role running hard.
Ben Criddle makes the mistake of trying to go for the big hit up top and trying to go for the knockout punch. Watch number 21 on the bottom of your screen. He's going to come up and try and make the big pop up top. Instead, that straightens Mack out and enables him to get 5 yards and set up a more makeable 3rd and 4.
They've made 50% of their 3rd down so far today, 2 of 4.
Bunch package up top.
And a great job. No, that's good coverage. Cameron Jensen, the fans want a flag. He sat right there in the hip pocket of the intended receiver and just came across, securing the tackle with that backhand and knocking the ball away with the front.
Ordinarily, your middle linebacker is kind of a plugger. At 6'2", 247, you would think that that was the case with Jensen, but as we already pointed out, 3 interceptions and just great coverage. There's no way you can call interference on that. He's all over it. Poor choice by Ratliff in coming underneath. Nevertheless, number 35 once again makes a play in the passing game.
Sean Smith, that same number that we saw trailing Johnny Harleen on the touchdown earlier, just like Weddle, playing both ways here. Louis Sakota, the sophomore from San Jose, in to punt this one, and he'll fake it, and they'll pick it up across the 40. The 35 out at the 30-yard line. Louis Sakota hit the game winner against Air Force last week, and he picks up a huge first down here. McKay Jacobson coming up from his punt return spot to finally force him out of bounds.
I find it surprising for this reason, because at midfield, usually that's pretty predictable in terms of a fake, but clearly they saw something in the special teams film as Sakota takes off. There is no fake at all. The outside contain gets blocked down, and Sakota is able to get the first down out at the 30-yard line. An enormous play for the Utes. And you know what? For being 5'10", 175 and supposedly being not altogether athletic, he showed some pretty good speed.
18-yard pickup and the draw to Brett Ratliff. Todd, the call here, you go right. Isn't this the same type of situation like a turnover defensively? You feel like you got him off the field. Maybe you go up top, you try to hit the big one here. You surprise the defense when they think they've got you done.
Well, and once again, there's a situation where it was slow moving. It didn't get going at all. There's no gain on the play. And you're right. That would have been an opportunity to go up top. But Andy Ludwig had other ideas.
Andy Ludwig, the offensive coordinator for these Utah Utes. Brett Ratliff, who made his first collegiate start in this BYU game last year. Brian Johnson hurt the week before late against New Mexico. And he had a big one, and this reverse will go to Brent Castile. He's got a couple blocks, a couple guys in white going down on the ground. Great job blocking, and Castile will get the first down. Justin Robinson pushing him out of bounds.
Tagovailoa is the one who makes the block, number 17 to the outside. Watch to the left of your screen. You're going to watch number 17 drop Gooch downfield. There he is. He goes down. That's Keel, rather. That enables Castile to run far enough forward for the first down. It looked for all intents and purposes as if it was going to be about a 1 or 2 yard gain. But Castile gets to the outside as a result of the great blocks outside.
Ratliff will take a sip of water, and Eric Weddle there in the shotgun at quarterback. A 1st and 10. Ball now on the 18. Again in motion is Castile. They fake to him, and now he throws to him. Touchdown, Utah! Brent Castile's 8th touchdown of the year, and it comes from that man, the senior cornerback / quarterback, for 18 yards.
Last time when he was in the shotgun, BYU opted to blitz, saying, "We dare you to throw." Well, this time he's going to fake to Castile, and everybody lets him go, and everybody knows that Weddle's going to throw the ball. Weddle takes a step forward. That sucks the linebackers up. He delivers the ball right on the money to Castile for the touchdown.
Eric Weddle now 2 of 4 this season throwing the football and doing everything. He'll sit down and take this snap from Clint Mower, the long snapper for Utah. Louis Sakota, who has been perfect, 38 of 38 on his point after tries, and make it 39 of 39. Brent Castile, 69.4 all-purpose yards coming in. He's leading the team and leading the charge right now for the Utes. Eric Weddle, the 2005 Mountain West Conference Defensive Player of the Year, offensively helping his Utes get it done. The touchdown pass to that man, Brent Castile. And the Utes are on the board. Verman will kick it off. Bryce Mawika and Curtis Brown deep to receive. Brown will take this one and down it there in the shadows of the end zone. So it's Beck's turn one more time, and he puts it right up top, coming underneath, almost picked off. Bryce McCain, a good job breaking on the ball.
Bryce McCain almost had the pick six. And again, when you're in love with your arm, and of course John Beck has every reason to be because of the success he's had this year, you make these long out throws. Look at how far he has to throw this ball, and this gives McCain plenty of time to cut underneath. Again, it turns out he really didn't get his hand on the ball at all, or maybe just a piece. Allen ran a poor route.
Beck began 8 of 9 since then, 0 for 4, minus 12 yards in this second quarter. Curtis Brown, the back next to him. Here comes Giannone on the blitz. J.J. Williams, too. And again, off the mark. Good coverage by McCain. Intended for McKay Jacobson. 3rd down and 10.
Now, this is one of the things that's costly for BYU when they have been unable to establish the run game. Now that they're one-dimensional offensively, Utah can take some chances and go with the blitzes, and if they continue to be able to maintain man-for-man coverage, this is going to be a problem for BYU. They've only taken about 6 seconds off the clock with these 2 incompletions, and if they go 3 and out, Utah will be in great field position to take another shot at scoring before the half is over.
2 of 4 for BYU. Beck will try to complete one here. He's over 71% on his passes coming in. Brown and Tonga next to him. Good protection, plenty of time, way up top, and again too high. Incomplete. McCain, 3 times in a row they go at him, and no success over there.
That's 6 straight incompletions. Remember, he started the game a house of fire, 7 for 8 for 166 yards. But since that time, they've been shaking up their coverages as well as their rushes. This time they opt to only rush 3, tries to force the ball in. There's no place for that ball to be anyway. Outstanding job by the Utah defense, 3 and out, and they're going to get the ball in excellent field position with about 1:50 left in the half.
The Utes have come after McLaughlin's punt so far. He's had 1 block this year, averaging 40.7. This time they come after it again. They run into him, no flag down. Marquise Wilson will take it at his own 25. Great coverage getting down there. Wow, and McLaughlin slow to get up. Jason Clark, the snapper, again hustling down for Bronco Mendenhall on special teams.
I don't know what Rich Collin, the official, is seeing here, the referee. This is not a fake. Take a look as he steps forward. You have to let the ball go. How is that not How is that not a penalty? I don't understand that at all.
Average starting field position, Utah now on their own 29. BYU, their own 18. Braden Godfrey in motion. Back to pass is Ratliff. Gets it out there to Derek Richards, his leading receiver. He's drugged down by Justin Robinson. Brian Keel speeding over there to help out.
Now you notice that Brett Ratliff now moves with a little more alacrity, realizing that after the penalty, the clock started again, and after the punt, the clock started again.
We're down near a minute, 2nd down and 1. This ball is short. On the covers there is Cale Buchanan, intended one more time for Derek Richards.
Cale Buchanan being in the game would seem to indicate that maybe Justin Robinson hurt himself, or was it Criddle? Well, Robinson's in the game.
I'm surprised Buchanan didn't hurt himself lighting up Eric Weddle on that reverse play. I'll tell you what, we give out here our tough man of the game award.
That was a nice play.
It's going to be hard to beat that young man. That's one of my favorite plays all year by number 34. 4 of 8 on 3rd down for Utah. This one a 3rd and short, and this one will be picked up the 20-yard line as we tick under a minute now.
And Utah had 2 plays called in the huddle, which they should have, knowing that they're going to get the 1st down, and now they line up, and the clock is yet to start running here under a minute. Now it goes.
Hernandez hustled over to get down there the bottom of your screen in position. The wide receiver next to him is Braden Godfrey. Here comes the blitz, and hit as he's throwing it. Ball looked to be coming forward, no whistles, and into the end zone goes Brian Keel. This one they'll have to take another look at. It looked to be an incomplete pass, but there was not a whistle. Aaron Wagner on the pressure.
Previous play is under review.
Well, it has to be. That goes without saying. It would appear from the vantage point that the collision jars the ball forward as opposed to the arm. Now, if you're at home, take a look at the right arm. Wagner's going to hit him in the middle of the back and get his arm. Now, does the wrist go forward? Does the wrist go forward? Here's the collision. The ball isn't out. Does his arm go forward? The official says no, and the ball goes forward. And as you point out, Keel heads up.
After video review, the call of the field is reversed. There's positive video evidence that the quarterback's arm was moving forward. 2nd down and 10. Please reset the clock to 46 seconds.
Well, as I said, the reason I mentioned that is because
47 seconds.
Almost always
seconds.
That's what's going to occur. And evidently right at the end, the flick of the wrist and the fact that the ball went forward was enough for the people to reverse it.
Dodging a bullet, Kyle Whittingham in his Utes. He wants that clock reset. We'll make sure it is. That's our 2nd reversal of this game. And these Utah Utes, they dodged a big bullet. They come out down 14-0. And to have BYU take one back to the house right there would have been a big blow to the gut. But instead, it's 2nd down and 10 after the reversal, sitting at the 40-yard line. Good protection this time for Ratliff. Finds Derek Richards, who gets out of bounds. Chasing him was David Nixon. Richards wants a flag.
Richards does the right thing by getting out of bounds here, especially if you're not going to get a 1st down with the catch. And so now 41.4 seconds remain. Plenty of time for Utah to get into field goal range.
Third and 2, this time back to pass, and this time tucking it away for the 1st down pickup is Ratliff. Good job coverage-wise by the secondary, and a great job by the quarterback to tuck it away.
Heads up on the part of Ratliff to see that happening downfield. He's going to see and survey and realize as a veteran quarterback, you know what, we need to get the 1st down. So he heads forward and gets the 1st down.
And Ratliff goes right after him, coming underneath to Castile. That was on the money, and Castile had Quinn Gooch all over him. Another great pass, that one for 17 yards as they keep it alive.
Well, certainly if you're on the Utah side, you have to be aware of the fact that the corners are now struck. Criddle is already in the locker room, and now Buchanan, his backup, is out.
University of Utah, 2nd charge timeout in the 1st half.
1st and 10 with 22 seconds before half. Plenty of time. Braden Godfrey. Boy, has he been big over the middle this year. Number 81 goes up, pulls it down, averaging 18.3 yards per catch. That one goes for 22.
Now Utah hustles to get set because they need to spike the ball here.
Good job by Utah to get up there. 11 seconds left to go now. How about the pickup by the sophomore out of Layton?
Well, again, the accuracy of Ratliff. There appear to be a lot of white shirts downfield, right in the middle of the field. He comes out of his break. The coverage they have, the double team. Watch this. You have Wagner trailing him. He's right with him. The concentration by Godfrey to reach behind and get that ball, break the tackle of Gooch, and set him up in a situation where they've got a shot at throwing into the end zone here before they kick a field goal.
Second down and goal from the 6. There's the pressure all around Ratliff. He can't get it to Hernandez. Brian Hernandez stretching out but can't pull it in. Wagner underneath.
Now I say before kicking the field goal with 6.9 seconds left, it would seem to me logical that you're only going to be able to throw either a slant or a fade. And with a fade, you run the risk of the ball colliding a little bit. As you can see, the ball just a little bit ahead. That would have been a terrific catch, but the ground separates him from the ball. So Utah is going to take the risk here with 6.9 seconds left to throw it into the end zone.
This is a 3rd and goal, 6 of 10 on 3rd down conversions here. A lot of time in and out of the hands of Derek Richards. Kelly Papinga trailing him. He had his guy. Richards had it in his hand, but he can't pull it in. 2 seconds left on the clock, though.
Well, this is one that Richards has to regret. Ratliff delivers this ball on the money. He has a linebacker in coverage, goes right through his hands. Papinga with him man for man, but there's the ball. And that's a tough catch, but he's got to make it. Utah very fortunate there that only took 4.5 seconds off the clock, as now Sokoto afforded the opportunity to close the gap to 4 points.
Speaking of got to make, with 2 seconds to go in this one, a 23-yard attempt by Sokoto. Utah would love to have the momentum as they take this one into the locker room. Mower with the snap, Weddle with the hold. The kick is up, and the kick is good.
Something else to consider, as you mentioned, the momentum heading into halftime. Don't forget, Utah receives to begin the second half. So it appears all the momentum, at least from the first half, despite being down 4, is on the side of Utah.
Well, a game that's been sold out since September here in Rice-Eccles Stadium, and the fans are getting their money's worth. Beautiful day in Salt Lake City. And out there enjoying this one is Blaine, and he's with Bronco Mendenhall right now.
Bronco, no surprise, a hard-fought rivalry game. Your assessment of the first half?
Just what you said. It's a hard-fought rivalry game. A fake punt right now allowed them to score a touchdown. It's going to be a good second half.
Any adjustments that you feel you need to make here at halftime going in that you can think of right here?
I would say we need to handle the pressure a little bit better on offense and just get back into moving the ball as we can.
Okay, thanks, Bronco.
Thanks.
All right, and thank you, Blaine, as Bronco will take it to the locker room. I don't know. I think I saw a little smile there when he said it's going to be a good second half. It certainly is. Don't go anywhere. Back to the studio after this break. So Brett Ratliff, another senior that'll come out, and you need to point out right here too, Todd, this is a BYU team since the Ides of September. They haven't been in a competitive game. They've run right through the Mountain West Conference. How will they respond? Coming out, Brent Castile, deep to receive at his own 3, and he comes out. A good block and gets around the edge across the 25-yard line. And that's where Ratliff and company will start this second half offensively.
But again, those numbers are a little bit deceiving. You see that the percentage is not that great, but he's converted a number of 3rd downs, as well as getting the ball downfield there at the end of the half to give them momentum and get that field goal.
Field goal as time expired in the first half by Louis Sokoto to give the Utes 10. Remember, he had the game winner against Air Force last week. And a play equally as big, probably, the fake punt to get the momentum back on the side of the Utes. That's Castile in motion. So back in the hands of the Utes, and Ratliff goes to Marquise Wilson. The speedster across the 10, and the Utes are on top. A 57-yard reception. Ratliff runs down, they beat Dustin Gabriel, and they'll pile it in the end zone.
We were talking earlier, James, very early in the game about the fact that BYU was taking advantage of safeties and man coverage. BYU comes with a blitz to the outside with Keel, and that means Gabriel is man for man with Wilson, and that is a mismatch clearly. Wilson goes in for the touchdown, and for the first time in the Mountain West Conference season, BYU is behind.
Sakota will try to go 40 of 40 on his extra points this year. Weddle gets the ball down, and Sakota puts it through. For 32 quarters, BYU hasn't trailed. They're behind right now by 3. Marquise Wilson, 57 yards. BYU ball when we return.
BYU decides to go with the blitz, and watch what's going to happen. Dustin Gabriel takes a peek into the backfield. He looks in the backfield and jumps the out route, and as soon as he does that, Wilson is able to come upfield. Ratliff puts the ball right on the money. Over and over again, it's an axiom for defensive backs to not peek into the backfield. Very costly for BYU. Well, again, in John Beck's case, you can see early on they were just dominant. The 2 80-plus yard drives since that time, 4 straight punts. The onus is now on the shoulders of number 12.
After that first quarter, 13 total yards for BYU, 288 for Utah. There goes Beck sitting in that pocket, and will have to buy himself some time. Wow, he dances, and he's going to make something positive out of this. Again, look to be sacked, but he'll pick up about 6 yards there, bringing up a 2nd down and 4. Finally, it's Casey Evans on the stop.
After getting shell-shocked in the first 2 series, Gary Anderson has settled down with his defensive game plan. He's shaking things up. He comes with 6, he comes with 4, he comes with 3. He's got a zone, he's got a 2 deep, a 3 deep. He goes man coverage. This is confusing John Beck. He's not used to that. He's just not trusting his reads up to this point. Utah's defense after those first 2 drives has been outstanding.
Manasseh Tonga and Curtis Brown, the 2 backs behind Beck, the offset on. And on 2nd down, the give is to Brown. Same result as Steve Tate there in the backfield, coming from his safety spot on the run blitz.
That's the 3rd time that Steve Tate has done that. He has penetrated. There's nobody on him. He comes up as the 8th man in the box, and there's nobody there to block him. Tate, the leading tackler on the team heading into this game with 84, has been outstanding today for the Utes.
With the loss, it's 3rd down and 5. BYU 3 of 7 now on 3rd down conversions.
That's significant for this reason too, James. Coming into this game, BYU is 57.4%, 3rd in the nation on 3rd down conversions.
Here come the Utes. They bring 5, picked up. Ball in and out of the hands of Tonga. Manasseh Tonga can't hold on to it. Careful, Joe Giannone gave him a bump after the play. No flags down, and it's a big stand for the Utah Ute defense.
Now here's the confidence factor where Beck is concerned. Notice that he goes underneath. Before, he was confident in feeling that he could throw the ball downfield. Tonga needed to make the catch, but even so, he would have been short of the 1st down because Giannone had him tackled at about the 28. And once again, the field position issue for Utah. McLaughlin has not been punting well in this game. Every drive, it seems, for Utah over the last 1.5 quarters has started near midfield.
A good punt. Utah had the return on this time. Fair catch called for by Marquise Wilson and taken at the Utah 34-yard line, a 40-yard punt, 17-14. Seniors like John Beck, Daniel Coates talking it over on the sidelines. BYU trailing by 3 here in the 3rd as Utah takes over. They'll come out, ball on their own 34. Their average starting field position, Todd, their own 31. BYU, their own 16. It didn't seem like it was going to matter that much for this offense of BYU in the first quarter. Eric Weddle, the offset back next to Ratliff. Quick pitch goes to him behind 2 blockers. He'll cut it back. Cameron Jensen folding back under to bring him down, but it's a big pickup on 1st down.
You have to think that we're going to see a little more of Weddle for this reason. Time of possession, which normally has been in favor of BYU on average more than 3 minutes per game against their opponents. Now Utah is nearly 8 minutes more in this particular game, and BYU's defense could be fatiguing. You can see here, take a look at the drives, and remember that downs is when they were 4th and short on the 5. So the possessions for Utah have been productive here the last 4 or 5 times down.
2nd and 4, Ratliff checks off. Good pickup by Darrell Mack, and a first down pickup, complete to Brian Hernandez. Justin Robinson on the coverage, but it's to the 46-yard line and a first down for the Utes.
And what they want to do here is they do want to take some time off the clock, and they want to keep that BYU defense on the field, moving the sticks as Weddle is back in the lineup.
No rest for the weary, especially when you're playing in your last home game against a fierce rival like BYU. Ratliff on the sidelines. Weddle will take this snap as quarterback. Castile with the shift, and the handoff goes to Darrell Mack. Darrell Mack lowers his head, carries the pile for about 2 yards after the initial pop by Aaron Wagner.
You know, I was thinking to myself, and again, this is going to date me, but I remember when I was a kid, the Dallas Cowboys used to exchange quarterbacks. You see Weddle and Ratliff exchanging. They had Eddie LeBaron and Don Meredith, and Tom Landry experimented with trading them off every play, meaning that they'd each get a fresh vantage point. I'm sure that's not what Andy Ludwig was thinking with Weddle, a terrific athlete there, number 32, because when they want to throw the ball, they certainly want number 15 back there as he is right now.
Ratliff now 15 of 27. Darrell Mack remains in the game. He'll pick up the blitz, and Papinga, the ball gets off. It's complete, a first down, big pickup to the 30-yard line. Dives Derek Richards. 20-yard pickup.
As you point out, BYU comes with the blitz, and as a result, man for man, Richards comes downfield. Looks like he's going to run a deeper route. Plants and comes back. A little bit of a slip on the part of Criddle, barely able to get a piece of his leg. And again, we talk about how the secondary is crippled. The foot issue may be something that's affecting Criddle.
Absolutely. Blaine Fowler told us that Criddle had the turf toe. Hard to get that stick foot in the ground and come out of that break. And there you saw him slip on that play. Back in at quarterback is Weddle. Next to him, the offset back is the tight end, Colt Sampson this time. Weddle will keep it around the edge. He's tripped up a little bit by the turf, and a good job of setting that edge in there tight. Brian Keel.
You called it, partner, and of course you would as a former outside linebacker. Keel saw that coming from the get-go, and he just settled his position, forcing Weddle to cut back against the grain. Number 41 is playing some good football today for BYU. As a result, a minimal gain here on first down. Watch number 41 on your screen. He's going to take on the blocker and just hold him up. He was able to do that. We'll go 2nd and 9 and skip the replay.
Ratliff back in from center and up top. A couple bodies tangled up, and a flag does come down. This time he's trying to go for Derek Richards. They pick on Ben Criddle one more time. 2 flags on the play, and it probably will be a fresh set of downs and marching down towards that goal line for Utah.
Well, it's probably going to be half the distance, well, close to half the distance to the goal line, because they're on the 30. It'll be a 15-yard penalty. Check at the end of the play. You see Richards. He collides with Criddle.
On the defense, half the distance to the goal, automatic first down.
He's got him faked on the what that should. If the ball is in the air, certainly that could have been one or the other. That could have been holding or it could have been interference. He gets fooled on the post route. He comes back to the corner. Criddle tries to do that drawing the charge thing that you get in basketball. The official said no.
Rich Collin told us it was interference, and watching that replay closely, the right foot of Criddle, he just can't put that toe into the ground. And Weddle will take this snap. Sampson in the block for him. Lowering his shoulders and driving his way forward inside the 5-yard line. It'll be a 2nd down and goal from the 4.
Got some help from his friends there at the end. It appeared that he was going to be stopped for no gain, but I believe that was Zane Beatles who piles on top of him to give him a little bit extra yardage. Watch coming from the left. Here comes Weddle. Now it looks like he's going to be stopped. Now watch. Beatles along with the tight end, in this case Colt Sampson, pushes him forward for a little additional yardage.
Well, it was a year ago today, the Bush push. Reggie Bush.
Right.
Notre Dame and SC going at it tonight. Matt Sims, the tight end in the game right now. Sampson, the other tight end, in motion. The offset I formation. Ratliff gets it out there to Sampson, stretches it in. Touchdown, Utah. Sampson's 2nd touchdown of the year. He had one earlier against UNLV right here in Rice-Eccles. None bigger than this one, though, in his young sophomore career.
Utah does an outstanding job of pushing people into the end zone. And the result is that Wagner, not normally a cover man, as an inside linebacker, has to take Sampson man for man.
And Louis Sakota will come in, try to make it 41 for 41 on extra points for the season and make it 24 straight points. Low snap. Weddle does a good job of putting it down. And Sakota remains perfect.
John Beck was getting all the attention coming into this game, but the man that has performed here over the last 2 quarters has been Brett Radliff. Sampson comes in motion. Sims blocks the man, comes out into the flat. For whatever reason, Wagner doesn't get there quickly enough, and the result is a touchdown for Utah. Wagner just can't quite get there. Tries to collar him, but a 6'4", 250-pound Sampson, a native of Pleasant Grove, Utah, gets in for a big 6 for the Utes. And again, you have to wonder, James, as we talked about this before, as to whether or not fatigue is a factor for the defense of Brigham Young University. Bronco Mendenhall would not like to think so, but the offense, after those first 2 drives for BYU, frankly, has been inert.
Bronco spent so much time as the defensive coordinator at New Mexico with Rocky Long, and then at BYU he had the 3-3-5. They switched this year to a 3-4. It's been successful so far this season. Curtis Brown from his own end zone, streaking down there but missing the tackle is Louis Sakota. Or I'm sorry, Steve Tate down there. Thanks, Blaine, again to Mawika. Mawika gets past the tackle of Joe Giannone. This time, Todd, he doesn't go down to the turf, fights his way forward for what looks to be a first down.
And BYU has to establish something here. There is no way that they can get to McField and give the ball up now down 10 points. A conservative throw on the part of Beck. It's a swirl route by Mawika, who looks like he's going to run across and cuts back to the outside. Giannone not quick enough to stay with him, and as a result, Weddle drops him, but not before he gets the first down at the 32.
Tonga and Brown, the I-backs behind Beck, and to Curtis Brown. Curtis Brown avoids a tackle. Would have been dropped for a loss, lowers his hat. Weddle throws him down late, and the flags come flying. A first down and then some, as Weddle gets a shove in the back.
This doesn't make much sense for a senior who's been around the block like Weddle. Curtis Brown goes out of bounds. Clearly he's out of bounds by a good distance. Number 32, for whatever reason, throws him down, and now 15 yards is going to be tagged on to the longest run of the day for BYU.
Didn't look like it was going anywhere, a lot like every other time they touch the ball in the backfield. Curtis Brown has almost been non-existent, and this time he sneaks out of it, gets a big pickup.
Now this is going to be interesting, the 2 calls, as to whether or not one of them is the shove in the back you mentioned.
Personal foul, number 32 on the defense. 15-yard penalty, first down.
Because there were 2 fouls. Daniel Coates is able to get his man inside. Watch the left of your screen, number 22. He gets Kyle Brady right there, and as a result, Brown cuts to the outside. Now right here, he's clearly out of bounds. Weddle, right, there's just no sense in that. There's no reason at all for him to throw that down. Throw him down. And for a variety of reasons, not just the 15 yards, but now, of course, doing that over on the BYU sidelines fires them up a little bit. Could come back to haunt him.
Just like Kyle Whittingham told Blaine earlier, it's been a game of momentum swings, and the momentum may have just swung the way of BYU. They pick up the blitz here. Beck in trouble, but gets rid of it to Tonga. His back with the flare picks him up, and he gets a good pickup on first down across the 35-yard line. J.J. Williams, the redshirt freshman, on the stop.
Beck able to buy some time. The blitz comes from the side. As you point out, Tate comes to his right side. Watch his left feet. He's going to buy some time, come to the left, and get the ball to Tonga. I tell you what, that's a very good throw under duress, because it's difficult sometimes to lead the running back. You always seem to throw that ball behind.
Gary Anderson, defensive coordinator, barking him out. Again, the give is to Brown. Curtis Brown twists forward to the 31-yard line. That will be good enough for a first down. Giannone bringing him down.
This will be the end of the 3rd quarter. Utah up by 10 points. And the question to be asked here, James, is whether or not this is too late to establish the running game. Utah has been flying around. They haven't respected the run at all, able to blitz at will. This is the start of the fourth quarter here at Rice-Eccles Stadium. If you're just joining us, you have to be a little bit surprised. Utah up 10 points on BYU, 24-14. First down for the Cougars here at the 32-yard line.
Beck from the gun. To his back, Curtis Brown, who's been quiet not only on the ground but receiving today. Coming into the game, had 51 receptions, leading the team. A nice pickup there.
One of the things that this drive does for BYU, in addition to the obvious scoring points and everything else, it gives their defense a little bit of a rest. Through the second and third quarters, BYU had a number of 3-and-outs. The result of that is the defense had to be on the field a lot more than they wanted to. One of the reasons why Utah had the success it did through quarters 2 and 3.
1st and 5, nonetheless. Tonga next to Beck. Here comes the pressure. Beck stands in there and drills it right down the field to Zach Colley, who's inside the 5-yard line. Forced out at the 1 by Steve Tata. 22-yard pickup for BYU.
Steve Tata is in coverage, man for man. There he cuts to the outside underneath. Colley runs that corner route. Needs to get out to the deep third. The protection is very good. Beck stands in and delivers the ball on the money.
Colley's got 2 touchdowns on the year. Couldn't get in there. First down and goal. Fui Vakapuna dotting that power eye right now. Hands pointing at that offensive line of BYU. Didn't appear to be any whistles or any flags. The ball comes out. Then we hear a whistle. That's Paul Solii, the senior, who may just go all the way for no reason. Instead, he bowls it down to his end zone.
And when we get a chance to see this again, this is foolish on the part of BYU because there is no flag on the field. You have to follow through. Even as disconcerted as it looks, the left guard for BYU looks like he's going to move, but it doesn't get called. There's the snap. There's the little bit of rocking. Everybody points, but there's no flag. And so Vakapuna's standing around wondering what the deal is. Utah follows through and goes with the tackle, but Vakapuna and everybody else has to follow through. If you don't hear the whistle, even though it feels a little bit disconcerted there at the line of scrimmage, you got to follow through. And now this is a big play for Utah from this vantage point, James. Instead of being on the 1.5-yard line, now you're back to the 5. And you lost the down. It's now second down.
5 yards to go on this second and goal. It's Tonga and Vakapuna, the 2 sophomores, at running back behind Beck, who will change the play. Quick pass up to Harleen. Harleen goes up top, pulls it down, and they give it to him. Touchdown! Harleen's second TD of the day, 10 on the season.
We've talked about the advantage that Harleen has. In this case, it's not speed or anything else, it's simply size.
Previous play is under review.
Here's the catch. Does he hold on before he goes out of bounds? He has control, and he's still on the grass. That should be a touchdown. Eric Weddle did everything that he could. He's in terrific coverage. But again, at 6'4" and 240 pounds versus 6 foot 200 pounds, number 13 is the one who's able to hold on.
McLaughlin will try to make it a 3-point ball game. And it's blocked. Blocked by Paul Solii. The big senior out of American Samoa has knocked down 4 passes this season, and this time he knocks a big extra point down. That was huge. It's a 4-point ball game, 24-20. Ute cheerleaders cheering on the block extra point of Jared McLaughlin, but still getting down there and scoring. Confusion there. Bryce McCain stepped out and wanted to go back in, but there was no turning back. So a couple special teams flubs there in a row. This on the return. It'll be a long way to go for Brett Ratliff and the Utes. Dan Van Sweden getting down there, the backup on the stop.
Now here.
Cast back to pass. Here comes the pressure. Had him in his grasp, but he turns it up and goes. Brett Ratliff avoiding the sack. Halapongo was back there all over the legs of the senior quarterback. Cameron Jensen finally getting him, but it's a pickup of 8.
Could have been a big play for BYU, but Pongo's not able to do it. Protection breaks down a little. Pongo comes on a loop inside and just can't bring him down. At 6'4", 220, he is a big man. One thing that we documented earlier but have not is that last year in the game against BYU in Provo, Ratliff ran for 112 yards, so he is certainly capable in terms of being that mobile quarterback.
Back to pass this time, getting it up there, and a little bit too long for Brian Hernandez. Good coverage by Criddle and Gooch, forcing the throw high. In that same game last year that he rushed for 112 yards, his first collegiate start, Ratliff threw for 240 with 4 touchdowns, replacing Brian Johnson.
Well, with nearly 11 minutes remaining in the game, he has already exceeded what he did through the air last year. He's 18 for 31, 273 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Third and 2, 6 of 12 for these Utes on 3rd down. Posting in the backfield, fake goes to him. Conley will pull the help of Brian Keel with the sack. The speedster comes off the edge and drops Ratliff.
Zane Beadles pulls from his guard position and can't decide who to block. Am I going to block Jensen or am I going to block Keel? He comes and goes to the outside and gets Jensen. That enables Keel to come inside and drop Ratliff for the sack. Here they both come. He picks Jensen. He picked the wrong guy because Keel was inside. You always take the more dangerous man, but Beadles, the redshirt freshman, makes a bad choice.
Brian Keel, an academic All-American from right here in Salt Lake City. Getting it done on and off of the football field. Down near 10 minutes to go in this one.
First punt of the second half for Utah.
Sakota, one more pin inside the 20-yard line as McKay Jacobson will take this one at the 10 against TCU, the big win earlier this year. He did it 7 times. Long way to go for Beck. Louis Sakota was big on the fake punt for his Utes earlier. Here he pins BYU down at their own 10. Now 26 of 54 of his punts this season have been inside the 20. Blaine's got more on that. Blaine.
And the other thing that has contributed to this field position that Todd's pointed out is that Nate Mickle, BYU's fine return man, one of the tops in the country all year, has a hamstring pull. He tried to go early in the game, but just not healthy enough, so he hasn't been there. It's been McKay Jacobson all game.
Beck, plenty of time, and look at Daniel Coates. Wow, sits in there for what seems to be forever. Daniel Coates, great catch, pulling it down in a first down. Utah coaches all out on the field. I didn't see why.
Well, I think they wanted an incompletion, but they're begging. This is just a great catch by number 20. Cuts back inside. Now he cuts back to the outside, delivers on the side. He's able to hold on to it, and he clutches it to his chest. The ball didn't drop.
Beck now 17 of 28. Off of the edge comes Mokofisi. He's picked up. And again, nice time for Beck. And again, a big pickup to the senior, Daniel Coates. He's not a speedster, but he's a great leverage receiver. Can get in there with that big body and pull it down. Eric Weddle on the coverage.
Well, at 6'3" and 260 pounds, you're right, he is not a speedster. But the time that the offensive line is giving Beck seems to be an issue. He's able to survey the field. Coates makes the catch. Weddle drops him. But again, number 20, certainly when you go against BYU, you're not going to game plan for number 20. You'll game plan for Harleen or for Beck or for Brown or Vakapuna, but not that tight end. He's had some big catches here in the second half.
That's where you've gotten in trouble against this BYU team this year, game planning for anybody. They have so many weapons, but Coates now 4 catches, 65 yards today. The give is to Brown. Curtis Brown tripped up as he nears the line of scrimmage. J.J. Williams, a walk-on who has been so big in starting for these Utes this year. Otherwise, it could have been out the gate, a big pickup.
Defensive coordinator Gary Anderson needs to shake things up now. It appears in the fourth quarter that he's been a little bit protective. He hasn't come with the house. He needs to blitz a little bit more. He keeps coming with the 3 and 4 people rushing, but it's giving Beck plenty of time to survey the field. I wouldn't be surprised in these next couple of plays if they don't come with 5 or 6.
I-backs behind Beck, Tonga, and Brown on this second down. Again to Curtis Brown. Here he's running strong, and it's a first down. Steve Tate, Casey Evans wrestling with him, but he'll fight his way up near the 30-yard line. It'll be the 31, 17-yard pickup for the senior.
And clearly Robert and I see something as he goes out with a 1 wide receiver set. They've been going with 4 wide receivers. Is Utah getting a little fatigued? Hard to say, but you had 2 missed tackles there. And right here at the end of the play, Evans doesn't need to do this. He needs to make a tackle. Instead, he gave Curtis Brown an additional 6 yards.
Exactly right. First guy in needs to get the tackle. It's the second and third bodies in there that need to try to wrestle that ball away. As Curtis Brown will take a breather. Last year he had a big 64-yard touchdown run against these Utes. Down in Provo. First down for Beck and the Cougars. Again, plenty of time, no pressure there. Gets it to McKay Jacobson. Check that. Matt Allen, the junior out of Peoria, Arizona, with the catch. I mentioned 26 on the year.
You're right. And he has yet to catch a ball today. Now that's his second catch of the day. Again, Beck is having too much time to throw. He's getting comfortable again. You can see he aims that ball, delivers in the middle. Gary Anderson needs to shake some things up here. He needs to come again with 5 and 6, press the people on the outside.
BYU 2 of 2 in the red zone. Last time down, it was a touchdown to Johnny Harleen, but the extra point attempt was blocked. Here's the pressure, and Beck is rolling, fires it in there to Dan Coates. First down pickup, catch number 5 for Coates. J.J. Williams on the coverage.
Again, one of the things that happens is that you're going man for man with the tight end. You don't think that the guy 6'3", 265 is going to beat you, but that's exactly what's happened in this particular drive. He's low, he's actually not exactly flying across the field, but he makes the catch in this drive now. Beck 4 of 5 for 55 yards.
Getting back into his groove, and not only are BYU fans everywhere cheering for number 20, but 3 kids, did you say? Daniel Coates, yes. 3 children at home. It's Manasseh Tonga who had the first touchdown in this contest. 4 on the year. He's stopped there by J.J. Williams.
Robert and I needed to be a little bit more creative here. That scored the touchdown earlier, but as you say, the submarine play by Williams as he drops him along with Weddle. Here's a play that would probably work for BYU because they don't do it very often. If John Beck bootlegs James, he can walk into the end zone. That's not something he's done much. And I'm surprised here, too, that Brown is in the game as opposed to Vakapuna.
Brown dotting that power I behind Manasseh Tonga. Joe Seminoff, the junior, the other fullback in front of him. Play pass, trying to go to Daniel Coates. And catch number 6 is a touchdown for Daniel Coates, the senior. His second touchdown of the year. Kyle Brady on the coverage, and BYU back on top.
And what a great call by Robert and I. At the 1-yard line, you would have assumed that they're going to plow in there in the middle. They bounced everybody inside. Great play fake, and why not Coates score the touchdown? He was the star of this drive.
Daniel Coates and Johnny Harleen, both senior tight ends, both key in this game. Harleen with 2 touchdown catches. Ball is down. Last extra point try was blocked. This one right through, though, and it's 27-24.
Number 12, John Beck. There's the fake. Coates gets to the outside. What a star this boy has been.
They'll kick this one off, a 3-point lead for BYU, and McCain will take it from his own end zone. Tripped up as they come charging hard, getting down there to knock him down is Terrence Hooks, the backup linebacker.
Beck showed his courage and fortitude here. Down 10 points, nobody anticipated he'd have to make the team come back as he has.
One-handed grab by Ratliff, almost picked off by Wagner. Wagner dropping into the zone and almost came up with a big one.
As you pointed out, one thing that BYU's linebackers can do is run. He sits in the middle of the field, and Wagner lays out, gets a hand on it. Really didn't have much of an opportunity for an interception. But again, all 4 linebackers can cover their zones.
Watching the eyes of Brett Ratliff, who had to take his eyes to the ball first and then pop up there and see, may have had something to do with him just zoning in on one guy as we go under 3 minutes to go now in the 4th quarter. Utah trailing by 3, trying to make it 5 in a row against BYU. Ratliff in trouble, and he gets out of it. A flag down. Holding will probably bring this one back as Poston is popped out of bounds about the 34-yard line.
Holding number 78 offense, distance. Replay, first down.
Topola, an honors candidate at left tackle. Outstanding. Here comes the rush. Now you can see he has a hold of his shoulder pad. Now right there he needs to let go. Instead he holds onto the shoulder pad. That's a takedown. The official's going to see that every time.
There you saw David Nixon, as you mentioned, on the blitz, trailing. Good to see him back in the game. He missed practice all week with the ab injury. Penalties now, 6 for each team. 56 yards marked against Utah and 53 against BYU. This penalty here, a huge one, as it brings up 2nd down and 19 with 2:45 to go. Again, they come with the blitz. Again, it's Nixon off the edge. Nice throw by Brett Ratliff. On the same page as Derek Richardson. He threads it in there for a big pickup. Aaron Wagner and Ben Criddle on the coverage.
You say threaded, and that's exactly what he did. Wagner was in trail. They had a zone. Wagner went right with it, but Ratliff puts the ball right on the money to Richards, who comes back. I think Wagner was frustrated because he thought he had that one, but you can see, you saw the ankle brace on Criddle. They're trying to protect that corner, number 21.
6 of 13 for Ratliff and Utah on 3rd down as they go empty. 5 wide receivers, the screen out to Richards. Gets it up across the 25-yard line, had to get to the 27. A 4th down and 1 coming up.
Now let's give some credit. They're going to call timeout. They're going to call timeout and discuss it. We've been talking about the struggles that Justin Robinson has had tackling today. On this particular play, as we get a chance to go to the replay, watch number 15 come up, all 5'7", 165 pounds of him, and make a hit. Normally he goes low and just goes for the shot, but instead he certainly gets some help from his friends, but he drops him short of the 1st down. And now Utah's going to have to go for it here, 4th and about 2 at their own 25.
Ratliff will come in the gun here on this 4th down and 2. Poston, the back next to him. Huge play. 4 guys coming and they pick him up. Ratliff is going to pick up the 1st down and keep it alive. 4th down and 2. He gets 5 out at the 30-yard line.
They had man coverage on the outside. Criddle had his back to the play. If they could have been in zone coverage, maybe they could have come up and made the play, but instead able to escape. Watch the white shirts. Now you're going to see Criddle run with his man. To the right of your screen, you're going to see the white shirt's going to have their back. Ratliff knows that, and right here, he knows that he's got the 1st down.
2:20 left in this one here in Salt Lake. And back to pass is Ratliff. Looking up top for Castile. Castile pulls it down. He keeps going across the 35. Dustin Gabriel and Quinn Gooch back there. Gabriel went up top with him and missed the tackle, a 37-yard pickup.
A mistake on the part of Gabriel from this vantage point. If you're not going to make the play, then you certainly have to make the tackle. Gabriel thought that he had his arm in there well enough to make the play, but instead, Castile comes up with a catch. Again, impressive Ratliff, his accuracy. There he puts his body in between the two. He shouldn't have tried to fuss with the ball, try and make the tackle in midfield. Instead, additional yardage for Castile.
Down near 2 minutes now left in this game. Ratliff will roll out and try to fire another one in there. This one on the money, a 9-yard pickup for Derek Richards.
Now, with the clock running under 150, it'll be interesting the approach that Utah takes. If they're a little more conservative because they're now in field goal position, are they going to go for it all?
Three guys coming, all of them picked up. Richards for an easy 1st down. There on the coverage was Nixon, the sophomore linebacker. That's a good mismatch you want if you're Utah.
And once again, as we talked earlier about Gary Anderson trying to shake things up defensively, BYU needs to do the same. They've only been rushing 3 and 4. It's been giving Ratliff plenty of time to survey the field and get the ball downfield. BYU at this point needs to shake something up and possibly come with a blitz.
Well, BYU just substituted Kelly Papinga for David Nixon. Nixon has had the injury hobbled off as we look at Ratliff's numbers. Boy, would he like to make it touchdown 3. Goes up top, not on the same page with Brian Hernandez. Way too high. Good coverage by Ben Criddle. 1:28 left to go, a 2nd down and 10.
James, just as we discussed it, BYU decides to come with 6 and they blitz from the outside. Both linebackers, you can see Papinga came in for a reason, and that was the reason he came in. He was going to come from the outside. Wagner comes with him, and that forces Ratliff to throw the ball behind his receiver.
Trips down at the bottom of the screen. Castile, Hernandez, and this one goes underneath the Castile. The blitz is picked up, and there goes Castile, diving forward. Touchdown, Utes! 19-yard touchdown reception. Ratliff to Castile, and Rice-Eccles Stadium is rocking.
A terrific call by Andy Ludwig. Just as, James, we were talking about BYU shaking up their defense and coming with some blitzes, they come with the blitz, and the perfect call is the underneath screen. Watch BYU come with a blitz from the outside. They get Castile the ball. There's very few white shirts now in the secondary as a result of the blitz, and Castile able to get upfield and score his 8th touchdown of the season.
Number 5, right at the 100-yard mark, receiving-wise, 5 catches and 2 touchdowns. This obviously a huge extra point try, and it's good. A 4-point ball game with 1:19 to go. Castile gets a hug from Thing One, 5 receptions, 2 touchdowns.
Well, Ratliff shows his composure. Remember earlier they had something like 2nd and 19. He delivers the ball on the money, and Castile does the rest. The young man who came in as a freshman and said, I'm going to win the Heisman Trophy. Well, that may not come to fruition, but right this second, he is the most popular player in Salt Lake. Now, a reminder here, a kick return is significant for a lot of reasons, but BYU, 1:19 remaining in all 3 of their timeouts.
Out of the end zone will come Brown. Nice little hole there for Brown, up to the 25-yard line with 1:09 left to go. 6 defensive backs in the game now for Utah. And here goes Beck. Finds Bryce Muika. Muika, his 3rd catch of the day, up to the 40-yard line. J.J. Williams on the stop.
Now here's the battle once again. Gary Anderson, defensive coordinator, opts right off the bat to only rush 3. I'm always reminded of the line by Chuck Noll. He says all the prevent defense does is prevent your defense from stopping them scoring. They need to shake it up and come with some people and be different.
Here they bring 5. They go up for Reed. Good coverage by Eric Shine. Stride for stride with Reed, the speedster out of Baytown, Texas, and puts his hand on it to knock it down.
We haven't called his name much today, or if all, but in one huge play, he's right with him man for man. Shine, the 2nd leading interceptor on the team for Utah with 3, and he's run back 1 for a touchdown. Has the left arm out, has a piece of Reed, and knows what he needs to do. Does the Dikembe Mutombo wag of the finger, saying not on my watch.
Reed, another senior on this team, back up to Eric Weddle at the corner position. Here goes Beck on 2nd and 10 now. Gets it underneath the Curtis Brown, who gets out of bounds. Clock will stop with 45 seconds to go.
That broken tackle was enormous. If he doesn't break that tackle, the clock continues to run. And now they'd probably be somewhere in 31 seconds. Here's the catch. Now the tackle right there by McCain. He can't drop him. And as a result, BYU able to get a gift and stop the clock.
3rd and 4 now. Beck, plenty of time. Will buy himself some more, rolls out and launches it way up there for Colley. Eric Weddle's got to be careful as he had good coverage, but again, they've been bitten twice by not turning that hat around. No flag on the play, however.
Again, John Beck at this point has to be conscious of time. They had a 3rd and 5. They just needed to get the ball and get the 1st down and then spike it. He had Colley over the middle of the field open, and then he throws the ball. Now it's 4th down. Everything rides on this play, and after they get this play, they're going to need to spike the ball. John Beck looks to the sidelines. He can't afford the luxury here of worrying about anything other than getting this 1st down.
It was a 4th down conversion for Utah on their last drive. Can Beck make it happen on 4th and 4? Over the middle to Harleen. Harleen across the 40. He's got the 1st down. They've got to hurry up.
Now all they need to do is get up to the line of scrimmage and spike the ball. But it appears that that's not what they're going to do. They're trying to husband those remaining 2 timeouts. And I'm surprised here that Beck doesn't just come up and spike it. Because now the clock is running less than 24 seconds.
Reed and Muika down at the bottom of the screen. The way that Beck looks and crossing across the middle is Harleen catching it in the middle, and Bronco quickly will call a timeout. One remaining for BYU with 16 seconds left to go.
Here's the composure now of the quarterback. He has to come to the sidelines and they have to discuss what plays he can and can't do. That particular play would have been much better if Harleen doesn't catch the ball at all. Anything under 10 yards now is going to be a detriment to BYU with one timeout remaining. They need to get the first down and get the clock stopped and then take those 2 shots.
Curtis Brown, the back in the backfield next to Beck, 4 wide. Here we go. Up top and caught.
Now they've got to hurry. They called timeout.
McKay Jacobson, the true freshman out of South Lake, Texas, with a big pickup. Graduated from high school in January to enroll at BYU and go through spring ball last year.
Now with 9.6 seconds remaining, let's see what they're going to do with the spike. Wow, that took 2 seconds. Remember at the end of the first half, we debated as to whether or not there was a little home cooking there with that clock. Because it appeared to us that it took 6 seconds. I don't know if that play took 2 seconds. But now they're going to have 2 opportunities to throw the ball in the end zone, depending upon if Beck understands what he's going to do here, because he can't take all this time. He can't take the time for one play unless it's one superlative play that they got for just this one situation.
Johnny Harleen is up top by himself, 3 receivers down at the bottom. Harleen has had 2 big touchdown receptions. He's 6'4", and they go for him. They fight. Ball tip, incomplete. 3 seconds to go. Bryce McCain has been so big from his cornerback spot.
And they got exactly what they wanted. Bryce McCain at 5'9", 170, covering 6'4", 140. They got what they wanted. But McCain is right with him and puts the hand up and strips him. I wouldn't be surprised, James, if they decided to do the same thing once again, except for this time they're going to have somebody behind McCain.
And BYU Utah fans will notice at 31-27, 34-31 is a big number in this rivalry. Back-to-back in 93-94, both victories for Utah.
They have a 3-deep zone. They have McCain up on Harleen, but they have someone behind him. They have to go to the end zone.
Final play of the game, barring a penalty, all the time in the world for Beck. Can anybody get open for him? He'll roll right, lets it go. Finds his guy! Touchdown! Johnny Harleen comes all the way across the field. Beck finds him, and it's a touchdown, and BYU swarms the field. They win it. 5 in a row won't happen. John Beck, put it in your books, the Mountain West Conference Offensive Player of the Year, finds his senior tight end victorious here in Salt Lake.
What amazing arm strength. He bides his time. It's the last play of the game. Watch as he's going to move around and move around and move around. He continues to move. He moves to his right. Watch what happens here as he comes back to his right. He's going to come back. Now watch the arm strength going the other direction, just guns it across the field. Harleen down on his knees and makes the catch. And Bronco Mendenhall, normally calm, what happens? Oh, he's got to be excited. You had to be thinking that there were 3 seconds remaining, that it was going to be one for the thumb for Utah. But Bronco Mendenhall, in one fell swoop, is able to get the albatross from off his neck with regards to Utah and get a 10-win season for the blue and white.
With Bronco Mendenhall, first of all, congratulations. Not surprising, a hard-fought game. Take us through your emotions of that last little bit.
It's just an amazing comeback. I credit John Beck, our offense, and our team played with a lot of heart. After acknowledging the University of Utah and Coach Whittingham, they did a great job. Their team played very hard today. And an in-state rivalry over the last 2 years, you can't ask for anything more than the way these 2 teams are playing.
Take us through when they went down and scored, your emotions at that time. What did you think? Did you think it was over, or did you think you still had a chance?
I didn't think it was over. With a minute left and the way our offense can play and who these young men are, I knew we had a chance, and they proved to me right.
Well, congratulations. We'll let you get to your team and the celebration out there. Undefeated Mountain West Conference champions, Bronco Mendenhall, head coach from BYU. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Look at them, fist pump in the air, and as they always do, the BYU players will go and thank their fans who had to only travel 40 miles up the road for this great rivalry in Salt Lake City. Hope you enjoyed it with us on the mountain. We sure enjoyed bringing it to you.